Nice, my Opel Rekord V6. By now you've most probably gotten used to seeing the videos of my Opel. I'm busy fixing, restoring. So on the cluster itself, my cluster backlights are not as bright as I would like it to be. And I was wondering what the problem could be. So at the back, there is one light. Of course, these lights are for the instruments, the warning instruments, and they all work because I have not seen anything out of the order there. There's one hole here for a normal small globe, and I think on its own it's too weak. But then you would see two of these lighting strips going down with two globes at the bottom, and I think these ones are not shining for whatever reason. And you can look at the size of the globe, it's much bigger than the small one here, and I think that's what my eye is missing. It's really missing that brightness or a little bit stronger light. And if I just turn it around quickly, you will see how this arrangement works. It's a fancy wire strip, 2 pins flowing down to here, strips or edges then slide on that wire strip like that, making the contact. And what I have discovered is, I'll show you now on the other one, that over time those strips get very dirty and then maybe fail to make proper contact. So I have started sanding that down with a little piece of fine sandpaper, and I want to do exactly the same now on the other side, because I've tested the globes, all of the globes on this cluster I've tested before I installed the cluster. So if we just quickly have a look this side, the globe is fine, I know. Look at that. So I'm going to sand it down a bit so it can look like the other one, and then we'll see. Okay guys, so still continuing checking out these lights of the cluster. Other cluster lights are working, it's just these two. So first test I use a 12 volt one of my gate motor batteries, 12 volt. Nice useful tool to have around your workshop. So I thought I'll first check, just so I know it's working, but just to show you that's exactly what I expect to happen. Obviously when one turns on the headlight switch, and if you look closely here, this is the 2 points that the globe actually fits into, and that's actually the current running on into that stream. Okay, so the globe actually slides in here and then onto those two copper strips by the turn. So these two wedges actually should connect with those copper strips, and the headlight or this light should come on. And if you look closely on this wire strip, plastic wire strip, those two lines running to those copper plates are really being fed power by these two pins here. Okay, so what I want to do is supply the electricity straight to those two pins, and the light should actually go on. So just be safe. And just over here about, Jude. Yeah, just show here, Jude, yeah. I can see it goes on. Right. So that shows that the strip is working because it's transferring the current correctly to this point. And it also means that the globe is making proper contact with those two copper strips, which I have cleaned down with a little piece of sandpaper earlier. So that's working fine. So when it's in the car, it's not on. So I need to check if everything behind the cluster inside is correct to those pins. But I've also want to just quickly check if the one this side is fine. Same kind of thing. I know the globe is fine because the first and easiest test to do. So I'm just going to show you very quickly. So that is certainly working. Check if the current flows from those two pins to here. I can also use the multimeter. Maybe I should show you that too. So let me first do this. Okay. So we will have to do the, let's just shift the battery closer because we're now working on this side. Camera focus must be on this point so we can see if the light shines here. Okay, let's check that out. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to apply the electricity to the 2 pins, and we should see something, and there it is. We'll have to see. I'm going to open it up and see from behind. But what I wanted to show you was just with the multimeter, if you wanted to check the wire strip is perfect. We're going to do the continuity test, ohm settings, continuity test, and I like the sound. Wonderful sound, indicating that the no break in the connection. So I'm going to just put it between the 2 points. Obviously the strip from that pin till here, and it should beep. Oh man. Same story this side, and it does. Perfect. That's the continuity test. I mean, the fact that we showed the bulb was lighting up, that confirmed as well that the continuity was fine. So now I'm just going to open it up and just quickly check on those 2 pins on each side, what's going on behind them. Maybe there's a breakage there, I don't know. So to open this up, I will have to unhook these clips. 1, 2, and then we have the 2 screws at the top. In fact, the 2 screws at the top only is the glass cover, so we don't have to do those 2 screws, but we will have to loosen the clamps here. We can try by hand lightly, so focus here with the camera, lift this back, and at the same time push up with those 2 clips, and there we go. And I do think we will have to remove these 2 screws, so let me do that. Okay guys, so after removing these 2 screws and those clips, these clips here, you really just lift this up. I mean, you can then put it aside. So where we want to be is really here behind is the wiring strips. We will have to remove as far as we can, so that just lifts out, Then the speedometer, I have those 2 screws. The ref counter also screwed there, and one there. I think let's remove those 2 and see where we're at. Alright, with both the ref counter and the speedometer out, I have access to those 2 wire strip pins, and I will have to check continuity between the points. In other words, from this point to that point, and same story for that point to this point here, and same on the other side. Perfect. Same for the other side. Perfect. Right, let's do the same here. It's now a matter of whether it gets power. So guys, I figured out so far, reading the grid lines, these are grid lines. Those are all the grid lines. I mean, even if you look at this main connector, it actually feeds, if you look at how it flows, it goes to the main instrument, warning instrument signs. So you can see there's 8 of them, and 8 of the pins here. So obviously we've checked continuity, that we've confirmed. Now we wanted to check if power reaches these 2 points. What I did check already was that this point, these 2 points are connected with each other on the grid. Between the points, they are connected with the grid lines. So if you look behind the cluster, there is a 2-pin connector here, and I've confirmed that one of them is feeding this point. So there is a single wire on the car's main harness in the car that connects here on the back. It unfortunately only connects to one pin because it's a single wire, and I suspect it may have been connected to the wrong one. So what I'm about to do is to check if I supply from the 12-volt battery that we got here. I supply it straight to these two pins. We've already checked continuity between these 2 points and the wire strip, the plastic wire strip. Then if we can confirm it, so that I've just used the isolator cover over it, so because the space is very tight, I don't want to cause a short circuit here. So watch the 2 globes, Mr. Cameraman. There we go. Okay, so now we know if power reaches those points and if ground is fine, the lights will work. Okay, so what I could do as well, and I think I've already checked it, let me just double check it again. So this connector from behind, we need to just double check which one is which. Like that suggests that the upper one here at the back is the upper one of the 2 pins there. Okay, so there are 2 pins here. So can you see, Mr. Cameraman, there are 2 pins there behind meter, this voltage meter. So there are 2 solder points there, and of course those 2 solder pins on the board. And if you read the grid line, if you just take this point, you follow it all the way up, you can see the lower one of the 2, the lower one of these 2, the lower one, meaning this one, is the one that flows on the grid to this point. To prove it to you, my favorite test, the continuity test, it can reach better. And the top one here, beep, confirms that the lower pin at the back is the one here. Okay, so a complete different point. That point on the board is connected to this point. What we could do is we could then really supply 12 volts straight here to the bottom. Let me put on its isolated clip. So I'm connecting the alligator clip from the battery 12 volt to that point, making sure the isolator is in between the 2 pins, and connect the other pin to the bottom. Our light should light up. If the wire is connected to the bottom, it should light up the bulbs. That's the main test that we can do on the car.